Random art tips and rambles with Rafi.
Hola, you amazing artist. It's Rafi.
And Klee.
Welcome to our podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, then we're going to do something a little differently than we've been doing with our podcast because we realized that for the videos, we wanted to be able to show something instead of a static image. So while you are listening to this podcast, you'll be able to watch me in this particular video work on a piece that is from a series that I do called the Superhero Me series. And obviously the podcast itself will not have anything to do with the Superhero Me series, but while you're listening to Klee and I talk, you can enjoy me painting. So let us know what you think about this in the comments. If this is better as far as the podcasts are concerned, you could still listen to this without watching it. But if you wanted to watch it, you could watch me paint. So our plan is for future podcasts is you will either be watching me work on a painting or watch Klee work on a piece of jewelry while you listen to our podcast. Now, this podcast is shared on Spotify and iTunes, and on those channels, they won't have this extra little tidbit of stuff on it. So enjoy the podcast. And today we're going to talk about when things feel like you got robbed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the difference between feeling like you got gypped and when things just don't go well.
Yeah. Because when you're an artist, that's going to happen. You're going to have a lot of situations and a lot of events where it could go either way. So, yeah I think this is an important topic to talk about.
Yeah, I'm really glad someone asked this question.
All right, so what was the question?
So our question comes from Caroline Fortin Studio.
Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Caroline. Hello, you two. Did you ever pay to participate in an event only to have the feeling that you've been robbed? I paid for a week in a gallery, and the thing is, the event was supposed to be 6 days. She opened the gallery 4 days, and on those days, the gallery was open from 2 to 4:30. I'm just a bit mad. Maybe I'm a bit naive. Okay, so this is one of those circumstances where I have no question about whether or not she has the right to feel gypped, and the answer is yes.
Yeah, you definitely have the right to feel gypped. Whenever you're dealing with a gallery or you're dealing with a business or you're dealing with anybody, it all comes down to the person that you're dealing with and what their modus operandi is as far as making money.
Yeah.
In that situation, it seems like she had no interest in opening the gallery space and making money that way. I would say that if you paid for it, she already made her money.
Yeah, she collected her money and then didn't concern herself with what the artists were getting out of it. And so here's the second question is, did she communicate afterwards, the gallery owner? Because maybe some personal stuff was going on, or maybe this or maybe that, but a lot of it has to do with, well, what happens next?
The thing is, like, whenever there's a situation like that, like, I understand when personal stuff happens, but I also understand that people are people, right?
Yeah.
So there are some people that constantly have personal drama going on. And whenever in the past, whenever I've tried to do business with somebody like this, like one of the galleries, I won't mention it by name, that I got into in the early days, there was a lot of personal drama going on there. And the personal drama that they had going on was having a huge effect on not only my artwork sales as far as them being there, but my morale and also a little bit to do with my reputation. Like, it came to the point where I realized, like, I did not want to be associated with this gallery because of the personal drama. And it sucks because sometimes people have events in their life that take place, that there is drama that goes on. But then again, I've run into some people that it seems that drama follows them around.
Yeah, and at that point you need to make the decision to cut your losses and simply walk away, to try to have a dialogue about what happened, perhaps, and go from there.
Yeah, in some situations, shit happens. Like, that's what it comes down to.
And I have a perfect example of when shit just happens.
Okay.
So a friend of mine that sits the gallery with me did a show recently, and she had to pay to be part of the show, and absolutely 0 patrons attended the show for the entire day. And
like 0?
0, not a soul.
Like not even a person walking in to like use the bathroom?
Not one person.
Whoa.
At the end of the day, the show planners figured out that the entryway was closed and they had a closed sign hanging on the door.
Oh my God. Nobody checked that?
No one checked that.
Oh.
So a lot of the artists that were there perused and purchased each other's art in support of one another. Now, obviously, this was a huge oversight.
Yeah.
And the show planners were incredibly apologetic. They refunded the entry fees.
Right.
And it was okay in the end.
Right.
It was a mistake.
Right. There was an accident. Shit happened. That's basically what it comes to. And the truth is that that's how it goes. And a lot of it, I think as far as us as artists feeling like we got gypped, a lot of it comes down to how the showrunners or the gallery owners or the business owners respond to what it is that happened.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. I remember a show that I did several years ago that wasn't the fault of the showrunners. It was really bad weather, really horrible conditions to be out in.
Oh, you're talking about Jocko's Art on the Bayfront.
Yeah, where our
yeah.
canopies almost blew away and we almost froze out there.
Yeah, that was not a good show.
No, and while I could not possibly fault the showrunners for the weather being totally terrible, what I did take note of was that they didn't seem to care at all. They didn't come around to check on us to make sure we were okay.
And I personally, I took that very personally because before the show happened, I was approached by the showrunner and asked if I knew any artists who would be interested in doing the show because they were having a hard time finding people. And so I talked a lot of artists into paying and doing the show. And then the show was horrible. Now, to the credit to our collectors and customers, we actually had like a few collectors and customers come out in that crazy weather, but we still didn't do it wasn't a good show, and it wasn't a good show due to the events and the weather and stuff. I was expecting the showrunners to do something, even if they weren't going to give us a refund, to do something. At no point in time did anybody walk around and say, "Are you guys okay? Is this all right? I'm really sorry about the way this turned out." Nothing. Zero.
And they were serving hot chocolate to the patrons and didn't offer any of it to us.
Yeah, and then afterwards, the showrunner had the gall to come up to me and say, like, "Hey, for the next show, we had a good turnout of artists. Do you think that you could talk to your artist friends and see if you could whatever?" And I was like, "No, I
absolutely
straight
not.
out told him, no way, absolutely not. The way that this show was handled is a travesty. There's no way that I'm ever going to do another show for you or tell my artist to come out and support your stuff. You did absolutely nothing for us."
So I'm of the opinion that when a gallery owner or a showrunner just completely shows no sign of giving a crap about their artists, that something should be said. It should be addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Something should definitely be addressed, and really take it as an example of the way that this person does business. For example, with Caroline, I would definitely expect something from the gallery owner, either a refund or something that would suggest that something went wrong.
Yeah.
If this is the typical way that she does business, then Caroline, you know that is not somebody that you want to do business with in the future.
Absolutely. Now, I've done some shows where the planners did everything they could and it just didn't work out because of weather, because of timing, because of whatever.
Oh yeah, we've definitely done some shows that just were crappy.
Yeah, and to no fault of the show planners at all. And really, they did everything to make us comfortable and happy.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing. When it comes down to it, it's much more than whether or not a show was successful financially, whether or not whether the weather was bad. It has to do with a whole sequence of events on whether or not you're going to feel like you're gypped.
And if there's genuine human interaction between you as the artist and the people putting this thing together.
Yeah, because, I mean, come on, seriously. Like, there have been some shows that we've done that have been absolutely and utterly crappy, like the crappiest show ever, and maybe we made one sale, maybe we did 0 sales, but then when the next year came around, we did the show again because of the way that it was handled by the showrunners, and that's important. I think that when it comes down to that kind of thing, it's like the relationship between the person that's putting on the show and the artist is what ultimately matters. But then again, we've done a lot of shows where it almost feels like there is this us versus them mentality.
Yeah.
With the, because artists are not easy to deal with.
Usually not.
No, artists are not easy. I've been also at a point where like I've been in charge of helping organize a show and stuff. And, you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. You're dealing with a lot of insecurities at points in times. You're dealing with people that compensate for their insecurities by behaving like a diva. And then you have people that, because they've been doing it for a while, it's almost like they wear that badge of honor, like, we know what we're doing, we're smarter than you, this show sucks, da 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 da. But for the most part, it's not like that. For the most part, just about every single artist that does a show is really respectful, loves their neighbors, they do really well. But I think the problem is that when money gets involved, you're going far beyond just the relationship factor of it. You are going towards like, is this fair to the both of us?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what it comes down to. If the weather really, really sucks and the showrunners are doing everything in their control that they can do, then, if you're going to sit there and get pissed at them because the show didn't do so well, then that's on you.
It is on you. You have to just make peace with it.
Yeah, but if the weather is bad and the showrunners are completely unapologetic and they're like, thank you for the money, for the entry fee, and then they walk away from it, then that's on them. Then at that point, you have every right to say like, hey, this needs to be remedied. I understand that you don't have control over the weather or you don't have control over these particular circumstances, but I feel like I got gypped here.
Yeah.
Let's do something about this.
So with this particular situation, it seems like it was an indoor event. And even with my friend's event, it benefits the planner, the gallery owner, the showrunner to be aware of how their artists are feeling afterwards.
Yeah.
Because they're either going to, A, make excuses and get mad. Yeah. And then this is probably something I need to walk away from. Or B, they're going to learn from it and improve next time.
As an artist, it is important for you to voice your opinion.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us don't want to make waves or are worried that we're just being a diva or are worried that we're just whatever because we want to voice our opinion. But if you're level-headed and listen, for the most part, the people that are a diva and whatever, those are the loudest ones, right?
Yeah.
Because they are constantly walking around screaming or whatever. If you are level-headed and something just doesn't feel right to you, bringing it up to someone doesn't mean that you're being a diva. It just means that you feel like you're being slighted. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that if you wait and don't say anything, then you're not resolving the issue. You're just kind of like burying it deep inside of you.
Yeah, then it just becomes a wound, a scar.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next time it happens and the next time you bury it and then eventually you do explode and you become somebody who's like, this is unfair, and you totally take it out on the wrong person. And honestly, that's very disempowering to do that and not just say something. Like I told the showrunner, I told him, no, I'm not going to bring my artist. I'm not going to be part of any other event that you do because this was not handled well.
Yeah. And I mean, in this particular situation that Caroline has laid out here, what the gallery promised and what the gallery provided do not match up.
Yeah, exactly.
Simple.
Exactly. It does not match up. And that is something that needs to definitely be addressed. That's one thing I would say. Talk to them, determine your relationship with them based on what the outcome is of that conversation. If they get upset with you, then you know that you do not want to have a relationship with that gallery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there are plenty of other fish in the sea. Do not put yourself in a relationship that is going to make you miserable in the future because it's making you miserable now.
Take it on a case-by-case basis. With shows, with pop-ups, with gallery relationships, and trust your gut and how you feel.
What's the worst show that you remember doing?
Oh, boy. One of the worst shows that was not the fault of the show planners was, I think it was Mother's Day weekend at one of the parks here in town.
Yeah.
and it just rained epically.
Like just that constant zzz,
Yeah.
that drizzle. So it wasn't enough to make us break down, but it was enough to kind of keep people in this miserable state.
Yeah. Now, ultimately, I walked away from the show feeling good because we made good friends that day.
Yeah.
And we made the most of it. And although it wasn't good financially, the show planners were very good to us.
I mean, I remember that show. The show planners were very good to us. I did well, but that was because my customers went out. Like 3 of my collectors actually had birthdays that weekend and wanted the certain pieces of artwork. So I did well, but it was very I only sold 3 pieces, but they were pretty good pieces for that show. So financially I did well, but we managed to have fun, and that's what made it most important.
I would say my worst experience of all time is the same gallery whose name you will not mention early on in our careers that we both had to walk away from pretty quickly. There were red flags right from the get-go. I mean, I just had a bad feeling, and things just progressively got worse, and there were all these excuses and all this anger and all this and that, and it just didn't feel right, and there was no like genuine communication happening.
Right.
And so really at some point you just have to be like, this is not working out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I don't carry any grudges or ill will towards that particular gallery owner. But I am glad that we ended things when we did. Yeah,
and that's the thing. There was a lot of drama. There was a lot of lying. There was a lot of this and that. So they would say that they were going to do something and they didn't do it. And really, you got to take a look at the relationship. What matters most when you are having a relationship with a business, or if you have a relationship with, a person, is action speaks louder than words. You take a look at what their promises were and then what the actions are that took place in order to make them happen. Mm-hmm. If they're constantly promising you this or promising you that or promising you the stars, and you're not seeing any evidence that they're actually trying, then you got to really take a close look at that relationship and decide to cut it off. Like a lot of relationships, if they're not working out, whether it is business or not, you may have to just cut that off, get rid of it.
Yeah, and I also recall that when we did leave that gallery, we were very honest with the gallery owner about why we were leaving.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately it gave that gallery owner an opportunity to evaluate and ultimately determine that they were not pursuing the right path for themselves.
Yeah.
And that maybe a gallery owner was not the place they wanted to be.
For me personally, just in doing business, even when I, one of the other galleries in town, when I had approached them, or they had approached me and we were sitting down for the meeting, I made sure that I told them, listen, I'm very, very busy. I do not have time to try and make someone else's dream work. I will be a part of it as far as my contribution. But honestly, when it comes down to it, my first and foremost focus is my art career, not your gallery.
It has to be, because that's how you keep things going.
Exactly.
Now, we both belong to another gallery that has seen its ups and downs and has had very good, lucrative times and has gone through serious rough patches and transitional things. And but the relationship that we have is a good one, is a solid one. And so no matter what happens there, even during the rough times, the slow times, I feel good having that relationship.
Yeah, me too. Just take a look at your relationship with the gallery, the business, the showrunners, whatever it is, and make sure that you're not feeling like you're being used or like you're being taken advantage of. And just take a look at the relationship. Any relationship that you have in the art world, whether it is with another artist or some association or whatever it is, there needs to be a give and take. You need to feel like you're getting something out of the relationship, and you need to feel like they are getting something out of the relationship. If it is completely one-sided, then it's time for you to go.
Yeah, and I think those things need to be really clear from the get-go. and also revisited periodically. So like, this is my end of the deal. This is what I'm contributing, and this is what I can expect. And this is your end of the deal, and this is what you are contributing, and this is what you can expect.
Yeah, and this is why I say, like, never allow yourself to feel desperate to get into a gallery. Remember, you don't need permission to show your art. And what happens is, when it comes to galleries or the opportunity to show art, a lot of times some artists, they're not completely honest or upfront about what it is that they want.
Maybe they don't even know what they want.
Yeah, maybe, but they haven't thought about it because they're not upfront about what they want, because all they want to do is get into this gallery or show my art at this thing, and they desperately do whatever it takes to get there. And so because of that, the entire interaction becomes very one-sided. It's about this artist trying to get in, and not about this artist being clear about, this is who I am, this is what I want out of this relationship, and being willing to walk away if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the thing. It's like constantly trying to get in because they think that maybe that's going to give them the validation that they need or whatever it is, not realizing that it doesn't matter if you get in or not. You don't need anybody else's permission. You don't need validation to be an artist. And I think that that's where a lot of that stuff gets lost, you know, and sometimes it doesn't. But I think you really need to be completely honest about what your expectations are right from the get-go. And that way there is no miscommunication. And if something like what happened to Caroline happens, then there is very clear communication of what the expectations were and how they didn't get met.
Yeah. Basically, communication.
Yeah, exactly. Communication.
Yeah. Caroline, thank you so much for this question. I think it's a really important topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope that in the aftermath of your situation that you've found a way to resolve it, or maybe that we've been helpful in giving some hints to resolve it for yourself. Yeah,
definitely, Caroline. Let us know how it goes for you with that gallery and what it was that you ultimately decided to do and what you learned from the experience, because that's the thing. Like, you could either walk away from it and think like, oh, this is a negative experience, and then say like, everybody that is like this does this or whatever. And that, unfortunately, that's what happens with a lot of people. They have one negative experience and then they think that everyone out there is like that. And that's simply not true. People are completely different. People have different responses, different ways of running a business. Some people are super dramatic. Some people are not. So like, take that one experience and don't worry about what their motives were. Just see how empowering you can make this experience for yourself.
Yeah, don't let it sour you.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's easy. It is very easy to get soured when you're pursuing this ever elusive thing called being an artist. So it is easy.
Absolutely.
And for the rest of you, I would love to hear any stories where maybe you've had a situation like that happen and what you learned from a negative experience that you might have had with a relationship with someone else in the art world. Just leave that in the comments. And thank you so much for listening, you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. I totally freaking adore you. And if you like this and you want to listen to more like this, just click somewhere around here to subscribe. And that's it. Say goodbye, Clee.
Good day.
Adios.